We've all been told that money doesn't buy happiness, but there's no denying that it affords us time and freedom. Whether you're well on your way to financial independence or just learning the basics, there's a good chance you will come across the FIRE movement. This community of people strives to reach financial independence to allow themselves to retire early if they choose. Now, there's a growing subset of the movement called Coast FIRE. Some people fall head over heels for the FIRE movement once they find it. However, other people find it overwhelming. It can be intimidating to hear people's stories of reaching millionaire or even multi-millionaire status in their 30s, allowing them to leave the traditional workforce. That's where Coast FIRE comes in. Let's explore what it is and how it can shape your retirement planning. Before we jump in though, if you like what you hear today, please give me the YouTube triple thanks. That's hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and leaving a comment. I truly appreciate you considering it. All right, what is Coast FIRE? As with most things in the FIRE movement, the definition of Coast FIRE depends on who you ask. No matter how it's defined, know that it is part of your pathway to financial independence. Someone I interviewed on my podcast, Sam Dogan of Financial Samurai, sees Coast FIRE as a subset of the FIRE movement. He views someone as Coast FIRE if they are almost completely financially independent but still needs a job to feel comfortable living the FIRE lifestyle. For example, someone who has $60,000 a year in expenses and has passive income that generates approximately $20K a year needs to close the gap. To do that, they work a job that allows them to live a Coast FIRE lifestyle. Rather than focusing on climbing the corporate ladder or working 60 plus hours per week, someone living a Coast FIRE lifestyle has the ability to choose a job that suits their interests. They may also be able to choose a career path that isn't as high stress. Sam says this person is still doing their work and enjoying their job, but they coast through some of the stress that someone might experience working at a more frenetic place. Another individual I interviewed on my podcast, Jessica from the Pioneers, defines Coast FIRE slightly differently. According to her, someone who is Coast FIRE has enough money in their investments now that they could retire comfortably at a traditional retirement age. Rather than focusing on generating income to put towards retirement, someone who's Coast FIRE is working to cover their living costs now until retirement. That means that they can cut back or stop investing for retirement a lot sooner. They can also reduce their hours at work, change career paths, or take other creative approaches to generate income now. All right, let's talk about how Coast FIRE affects retirement planning. Pursuing Coast FIRE can shape your retirement planning in a variety of ways. Most importantly, it should keep retirement planning top of mind even when you're young. One of the regrets that seasoned investors share most often is not starting investing soon enough. The earlier you start investing, the more time your money can grow in the market. Additionally, pursuing a Coast FIRE lifestyle can encourage more strategic financial planning. Sam Dogan says there are 3 steps people can take to test their current financial path. Number 1, analyze your existing expenses to see what you're spending. Number 2, audit your income to see where your money's coming from. And then number 3, tackle any low-hanging fruit that might help you decrease your expenses or increase your income. By using these steps, you can open up more room in your budget to allocate towards retirement savings and investments. Now let's talk about why Coast FIRE works well for the young investor. People who are just starting out in their careers would typically see greater income growth later on. That means some of the standout FIRE success stories of saving 6 figures in a single year simply aren't possible. Coast FIRE, though, is certainly always on the table. Another reason why Coast FIRE is an important aspiration for young investors is that it sets them on the path for success. Sam Dogan paraphrases a Chinese proverb by saying that if someone is headed in the right direction, they will get there sooner or later. Embracing a Coast FIRE lifestyle affords people flexibility around when and how aggressively they want to save. An additional component of Coast FIRE is the overlap between side hustles and entrepreneurship. Some millennials feel drawn to these lifestyles, while others feel forced into them. Because many people who reach Coast FIRE incorporate side gigs or entrepreneurships into their financial plans, young people can capitalize on the skill sets that they've already developed. The biggest reason that Coast FIRE works well for young people is that it allows compounding to work in their favor. It also affords you more flexibility. That means that you can dodge burnout. All the while, you can still build a comfortable nest egg and grow your net worth. In fact, many early retirees like Mr. Shirts at Stop Ironing Shirts say that they regret not pursuing Coast FIRE when they were younger. Now at this point, you may be asking yourself, am I Coast FIRE? Well, to get a sense of where you stand financially, you'll want to analyze 3 aspects of your finances. The first data point means uncovering all of your income. That might be money from a day job. It could also be money from a side gig, seasonal work, or anything else that boosts your bank account. Knowing the amount of money you make is an important starting point. It's also important to look at your budget and track your spending. You can't save what you don't keep. The next data point you need involves collecting all of your current investment accounts. People often use the words save and invest interchangeably. In this case, you want to look at all your retirement accounts and make sure that the money within the accounts is invested. It's possible to open a retirement account and leave the funds just sitting in cash. If you find that to be true in your case, make a note of it as well. The next question to ask is, how much do you expect to spend in retirement? While this might seem like something that requires a crystal ball, it's an important data point. You want to have a guesstimate of how much money you think you're going to spend each year in retirement. A good starting point is to calculate your current monthly expenses and then adjust from there. In addition to looking at your income, your investments, and your projected spending, you want to do some number crunching to see where you stand. 2 of our favorite Coastfire resources are from people inside the personal finance community. The first one is from the Pioneers. They're going to offer you a 5 milestones template using their definition of Coastfire on their site. And the second one, you can check out the graphs and test out the Coastfire formula on the 4-Pillar Freedom site for more insight on what the Coastfire status might be for you. After playing around with these formulas, you can find out what your family situation is. I decided to do this for our family and see where we stand. And I see that our family could be considered Coastfire.
A great place to start for checking on your Coastfire situation is to go to investor.gov and you can click on this compound interest calculator. And so we are comfortable at around $70,000 per year with our expenses. So if you multiply that by 25, that gets you to $1.75 million and we'll reach FI, or just a comfortable retirement. So with that in mind, let's see where we stand today. So we have about $500,000 in invested retirement accounts. If we're going to do Coastfire, let's just call it $0 for monthly contributions going forward. And we've got about 20 years until we can retire. And let's call the interest rate maybe 7% conservatively, and then hit calculate and see where we stand. Okay. In 20 years, we will potentially look at $1.9 million. So that will cover us for our projected needs of $1.75 million for our annual living expenses of $70,000 per year. Now, this is just a calculation. Obviously, you can play around with the numbers. We could, let's say, keep working for another 5 years. What's that going to do for us? Oh, that's going to get us to $2.7 million. That's going to be plenty. Wow. Or we can say, oh, you know what? We're not going to get 7%. We're going to get something closer to 5%. You know what? Okay, we're still kind of close for what we need. Maybe we'll need to work until 65, or some sort of work for that matter, till we're 65 to be comfortable. But anyway, use this calculator, play around with it, find out what works for you and your situation.
Now let's talk about the tax advantage vehicles to help you achieve Coastfire. There are several tax advantage vehicles that might help you hit your financial independence goals a lot sooner. Start with the retirement planning basics. If you work for a company that offers a 401k or a 403b company match, you're going to want to make that your first priority. Basically, a match means that your company agrees to put in a certain amount of money into your retirement account that mirrors or matches your contribution. A company match might be $1,000, which means your first goal would be to contribute $1,000 of your own money to get the company match. Next, you can consider a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is a key component to many people's financial independence plans. This is an individual retirement account that exists outside of your workplace. That means that you have a lot more control over how the money gets invested. Once you've maxed out your Roth IRA contribution, you can continue to work on your 401k and 403b. Maxing out any account is a big feat and it requires considerable income and savings. If you can't do it all in the first year or even the first 5 years on your pursuit to financial independence, that's okay. The main goal is to grow the gap between your income and your expenses so that you can continue to save and invest. Next, let's look into an HSA. Some people also have the opportunity to put money into a health savings account, or HSA. If you have a high deductible health plan, that's a HDHP, you are probably eligible for an HSA. This account is used to pay for healthcare costs with tax-advantaged money. Sometimes HSAs are partially funded by your employer. In that case, they use pre-tax dollars. If you fund your HSA yourself, you can make a tax deduction at tax time. Additionally, the money in the account grows tax-free. Plus, it can be withdrawn tax-free to cover eligible expenses. Because it's triple tax advantaged, many people in the personal finance community consider it an essential retirement account. Lively is a great partner to consider for your HSA needs. My wife and I use them, and we invest with their partner TD Ameritrade with no fees. I'll put their link in the description below. Another move to consider is to open a taxable account, taxable brokerage account. Unlike the other accounts I've mentioned that all come with hefty penalties if you don't follow the withdrawal requirements properly, a taxable brokerage account is much more flexible. In fact, one of the biggest benefits of a taxable account is that you can tap your money whenever you want it. There's no penalty for pulling money out before retirement age. Another benefit is that you have the freedom to invest in whatever you want. Though many people pursuing financial independence will argue that index funds are key. Another option for people who are already maxing out their tax-advantaged retirement accounts is real estate investing. Real estate investing exists on a spectrum from more passive to very active. That means someone might be more comfortable investing in REITs or syndications, while other people might be interested in becoming landlords and doing live-in flips. For people interested in owning physical rental properties but not doing the landlord thing, I'd check out Roofstock. Again, I'll put their description in the link below. So after hearing all this, you may be asking yourself, is Coast Fire right for me? The most important rule of personal finance is that it is all personal. Coast Fire might be really appealing and motivating to some people. Other people might prefer a more aggressive approach to FIRE. And for some people, the FIRE movement just isn't for them at all. While you can certainly adjust your plans as you go, the most important thing is to get started. After all, Coast Fire might just show you that you can stop investing for retirement sooner than you think. But enough for me. I would love to hear from you. What do you think of the concept of Coast Fire? Is this something you think is a more accessible way to join the FIRE movement? Please let me know in the comments below. This is Andy Hill from Marriage, Kids, and Money, signing off. Carpe diem.